Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I have a degree in political science from the University of Miami, and I started a business in '69 and retired 30 years later. At that point, it was bankrupt, but most people did not know that. Today, another 20 some years later, it's extremely successful. When I had it, it was successful the last 10, 15 years, and then there was a collapse of the economy in that industry, the industry I was in. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is for because too many people think that people that are into psychic stuff, they're all flakes. No, actually, that's not the case, and that's why I tell you my traditional attributes in history. And if I was going to put out a proposal for somebody to hire me, I could give them two different resumes, and they would look like two totally different people. I deciphered string theory. I can read people's minds. I came up with therapy techniques that are totally cost free and efficient. Well, that's not going to work if I'm looking for a job like with a regular company. I would have to put, I ran a successful business. At the end, I had 30 some menstrual cycles to take care of, no, 30 some women to take care. Anyway, that's the point. The point is that it's like two worlds. Well, we are going to be entering into two worlds really quick. And if you can't hop and skip having to do with my particular history, you're going to have a really hard time. First place, I don't know if I can get Anita Lugo or Francia to look up Ascension Day in May. Ascension Day is always in May, and it is the date in which the veils between this planet and other planets are the thinnest. And many, 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 many years ago, I was part of a negotiation situation having to do with off planet. And the last date of the meet where the conclusions would be, and they were not good conclusions, was Ascension Day. I have a hard time believing that the people on the other side of the table needed for it to be Ascension Day to be able to reach us. I'm just giving you information. But let's go over the mundane things. Trump is still on his trip, but before he went on his trip, and I didn't put the date down, but I can find it easily, it was probably the Friday before his trip. I asked the dolphins about the trip because too many people, the astrologers, too many astrologers think he's going to die. I think they wish that he would die because I think that most American astrologers are very new age and they can't take this being real thing. So the Trump thing is really hard for them. Okay. So I decided, and I also, Uri Geller said he was worried about the trip. They're going to plan to kill him. So, you know what? Let me ask the dolphins about this. So I did. And I said, Trump's trip. And they responded. They don't, and I read this last week, so this is not new. They don't dare to kill him as it will create more instability across the planet. He is the center of attention, but also the center of hope for all nations. He is the center of attention, but also the center of hope for all nations. He anchors truth, and people see he holds truth. And then I did the usual because I never believed the dolphins initially. It must be a programming or something. And I said, dolphins, that's a little bit too nice. And this was their response. Truth is nice. And this center of attention, center of hope for all nations is exactly what happened in this trip until like yesterday. I don't know what happened today. So we can say that the dolphins are reliable. I've known that for decades, even though I never trust when I get it initially. I'm just telling you my shortcomings. But the Greeks knew that. A lot of civilizations know that. The dolphin part of them is a vehicle. This is a vehicle that my consciousness uses to operate on the physical dimension, and the dolphins have dolphin bodies to operate on the physical dimension of planet Earth in the water. And I have to say that one time I was saying I felt sorry for them. And they said they felt more sorry for me because I was less free than they were. And I was at the Miami Seaquarium where they're in tanks. So they have a lot of compassion. I just wanted to brag, not about the dolphins, but about what is going on with Trump at the helm. He's not the only person. He has a lot of people helping him. I recognize that. I'm not saying he's the only one, but darn, he's really doing a great job. And his friend went to have dinner with him, Elon Musk. Him and a ton of other real important people. But I think that that friendship is very important for all of us, but for them also. Maybe more for Trump than for anybody else. Somebody that he knows that he can actually rely on, that's up to par, is up to his level, that has that wide world view. So wide it's off planet. I'll come to that in a minute because the map that I did talks about off planet. Forewarning, I have that on my notes. When there's no crisis, there's no adrenaline. And then the people feel like they're asleep, they're bored, they're not happy. Adrenaline is a really, really good thing. It pulls you through crisis. It makes you feel up when you really should be wanting to throw yourself off a building. But when it's gone, and if you had a lot of it, it becomes an addiction. And then it's like you fall into a black hole. I think that we're going to go into a little space of time, and I think Trump is going to go through it, in which there's not going to be that much adrenaline, unless this whole ET thing really sparks up. But even that, I'm not sure we'll take care of it. So what's the mantra for that? Even though I'm bored without a crisis, I love and accept myself. There you in that mantra, you accept the fact that there's something good about crisis. Okay, there's something really good about crisis. And the other one is that you're bored, so that you don't start thinking it's a depression. You can fall into a depression. If you had a depression before the crisis, you're definitely going to land in it. Try that mantra. Even though I'm bored without a crisis, I love and accept myself. You know the story about me going to therapy in the 90s when I was starting my memory work and remembering all the stuff. And I'm in my therapist's office and I'm a psychologist and walking up and down, and she's sitting there and what's the matter? I don't know. I do blah, blah, blah. She said, what you have is an addiction to adrenaline. You've had too many crises. And right now everything seems to be softer. And it made sense. It was also a full moon, which she did not know. Got to keep on top of the moon. If the police department and hospitals already know that the full moon really affects humans, you should know that too. And maybe not have conferences or negotiations when it's a full moon, because a full moon is endings, new moons is beginnings. All you have to do is figure out what farmers have known for centuries. When is it best to plant? And when is it best to lift up your products from the soil? I know I didn't use the correct word, but I didn't remember it, and I don't want to take 10 minutes searching for it. Okay, so no crisis, no adrenaline. I think we may go into a little bit softer times in the United States, being that there's been so much proof about all that stuff that had us in crisis with all the stealing and everything. Gossip. And my podcast chats are too long. So I have to try and cut these. Schiff, I'm going to do something in 2 minutes that maybe I shouldn't do. Oh, May the 29th is Ascension Day. How interesting. One of my followers today sent me, let me see it on the calendar. 29. No. Okay. So Ascension Day is the day in which the veils, thank you, Atela, between this planet and other planets are thinner. So more interesting things can happen then. The Ascension Day that I'm talking about, which would have been 94, was earlier in the month, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. my handler, and then I'm going to go to Shift, and I'm going to do a sketch here on camera of Shift. My handler is still alive, but shockingly, I had I have been living with him for the last probably 24 hours. How's that possible? You have a physical vehicle, but you have a spirit vehicle, which is your astral body, it's your astral spirit. And his is very operational and very much a part of the mind control program, and the whole mind controlling people has to do with that part of him. He doesn't have to leave his home, or didn't have to leave his home to do that. Neither did Schiff. So he's been basically right here with me. And for me, it was horrifying and shocking. But then I wasn't so upset because I realized that he really doesn't have much longer to go. I called in an Egyptian god that deals with the underworld, Anubis, the one with the dog head. I believe that's how you describe it. Because he deals with people when they pass or when they're going to pass. And I asked him to come in, and he was very helpful. But apparently, I haven't cut all my emotional connections to my handler, which are these strings from string theory. So today, I went violently after cutting these strings, which is, by the way, a major part of my work when I do my purifications that I charge for groups of people. And I was cutting them, and his spirit was hysterical. What's the point? The point is that those conduits, when they get inserted into somebody, there is a connection between you and that person. And when there's 10, 20, 1,000, 6,000 of the conduits inserted into you, or from you inserted into them, there's a traveling of energy back and forth. My handler was living off of my energy, my sexual energy. Does that mean we had sex in those 24 hours? No. But it is, again, a reinforcement of the information that you need to pay attention to sex, because it is so important in so many different ways. So anyway, I've spent the afternoon cutting. I get help from the spirit world. St. Michael is like really effective because he has a sword that's flaming. Why would that be important? Because this stuff that goes on in the other dimensions, when it's with powerful people like Schiff and my handler, I'm going to use the word ex-handler, which throws me into a scary place, because who's going to be the next one? Because Trump hasn't quite finished with the mind control stuff. People like me are not allowed to just run around loose. Anyway, a lot of the curses that are placed on the planet on human beings to make us less than what we really are, they are anchored with metallic cords. And you can't just cut them with a regular scissor in the other dimension. I'm going too long on this. You're not going to get it. It's okay. Let it go. You just need to know that I've been cutting all of that, and the man basically is going to be left without fuel. And if you start reading about ETs, if you read The Gods of Eden, which is probably where you should start, you're going to find out that we are fuel to a lot of the galactic beings. They just don't ever talk about how do they get the fuel out of us. And it is through these conduits. And if you read my book on sex, the title is Sex, We Have to Figure This Out. It's in my store. It's on Amazon, but you can hardly find it on Amazon because everything I do is very buried. You would already know that when you have sex with somebody, you're connected to them for 12 years. That's a long time. You're connected to them. Your mind streams go into them. Their mind streams go into you. 12 years. And you know that the story, and I'm not going to go into detail, the woman that I was sketching on a TV show, and her second chakra, which is where sexuality is, was so sick, with such bad energy. And I said to her, what happened here? And she had sex with a lot of people, and some of them were in jail. So she was getting fed their energy in jail. So you need to pay attention who you have sex with. Um, but it's not just that, because my handler, this was not just about sex. It was about a deep connection, which was not a connection that I would have wanted. But we're not going to go into the whole blame thing. I'm trying to get you information. So anyway, I've been cutting. He will get left lifeless. But I remembered that 3 years ago, I did a sketch of him, and some of those chords, I really did not understand how important it was at that point. And I didn't just send it to my children. I sent it to friends of his, my handler, and saying, he's doing the same thing to you. And I'm sure they didn't believe me. So you may think you're footloose and fancy free. Maybe you're not so footloose and fancy free. And maybe you should pay a lot of attention who you get intimate with, because you are going to be connected. It's not just a quick hit. Okay, now we're going to go to Schiff. I'm irritated that Schiff is still operational and I'm not. Why is he still operational and I'm not? So I'm going to do something on camera. And maybe afterwards I'm going to go, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And if I'm not supposed to do that, I would like for something to fall off the wall or lightning to strike, not me, but strike something close to me. I am going to sketch Schiff. I want to see who he is controlling. Okay? Because the reason I sent that to my kids and to friends of my ex-handler is because he was controlling them. Got it? And remember, it's not just that those inserts are not just sexual inserts. It happens when you have sex, but it also happens other ways. I don't know. I can't give you the details on that yet, but I'm going to find out. So today is 5/15, and I always have to put the date because through the years, too many times I haven't. Okay. So here we go. So he's massively depressed. Oh, I also picked up that his big issue is shame. What will take him down before anything else is shame. Adam Schiff. Okay? You know what? I needed to have done this to the side to where I can have other figures. Okay, so this is him. He's massively depressed. Should I do this on camera? Well, I can tell you one thing. He has Nancy Pelosi by the throat. I mean, by the throat. Are these those? I mean, I'm surprised she can breathe. That's Nancy Pelosi. I want to see those mind streams that my ex-handler. I'm looking. He has these strings going into several Democratic lawmakers, inserted into them, and he did it via food. He invited them or participated in like exclusive little dinners or whatever, and he put something in food, and I don't know why I'm getting the word niacinamide, which is a vitamin that opens up your I think your blood vessels and you can get all flushed. I once gave that to my husband without him knowing it. I gave him a whole batch of pills and he took them vitamins in the morning when he was on the expressway. He thought he was having a heart attack. And then he called me and he said, "What did you give me?" And I said, "Vitamin pills." He said, "Did you give me anything that could have made me feel like I have a heart attack?" Of course not. And it was that. He was getting the flush on the expressway. It makes you feel like, if you don't know what it is, you can think that. He put niacinamide in the food, and niacinamide facilitates the hooking into these people. And I am not going to do names now. I don't know what the names are, and I'm not going to do them, but I can tell you this. These people did not agree to this, and these people's lives were changed due to this. And I would bet you anything that these are the senators that we all used to admire, and we can't figure out why would they have stolen the money, and why would it doesn't match them. And then I'm remembering those parties they talk about in Hollywood where they have people eat all this stuff. And I'm wondering, I will find out more about this. So, what do we need to know about him? He has these are massive depression. These mind streams are supposed to be going out like this. And in him, they're massively depressed. His big issue that can take him down is shame. Got that? That is not the big issue with my ex-handler. His big issue is his reputation with his daughter, not his not his sons, not his ex-wife, not his grandkids, his daughter. That's his issue. That's his weak point. Adam Schiff, the weak point is shame. So start pulling out all the stuff and all of the graphics. He must be dying now with the Diddy trial because that is his weakness, the shame, which is kind of good. You know his weakness, which, by the way, when you're in intelligence and when you are a bad spirit, both bad spirits and the intelligence community work exactly the same way. Who learned from who? The intelligence community learned from the spirits. So you find the person's weakness and you just hammer at that and you got them. So, interesting. So I don't see those strings to Pelosi. What I do see is he's got her by the neck. She can't talk. But I think we all kind of know that, right? So let's go to the map. Niacinamide. Interesting. I'm happy with the map. Here's the map. And what does it say? Trump is king, vibing with golden age and the age of Aquarius. I get this information. I don't come up with it. Now, when I start to talk, after I say this, then you're getting my information, my version, whatever. This is King's Crown. I wouldn't have done that. You have the Galactic protection. Then you have the additional protection. This is the protection having to do with Earth catastrophes. This is the protection having to do with things that are more mundane, not quite at such a high level as Earth catastrophes. And then at the top, it says the ETs are smiling gently. And then there's a heart. So do we ask the dolphins? Smiling gently. Why would it be smiling gently? I don't know, but I can ask them right now. It's sweet. But I think that Trump's exchanges in the Mideast were sweet. Not the whole tough thing. Sweet. He didn't go over there like a crusader. He went over there like maybe Jesus Christ would have gone over there. Because remember that the last time that Jesus Christ was in that region having to do with what we know in the books that we're taught in school, we went over in the Crusades and we killed them. And they didn't even know why they were dying. They don't even know why they were dying. Okay. Let's ask the dolphins. What does smiling gently mean? Hold on. I have to get a little new piece of paper. And because I haven't installed Microsoft, which I have to work with these little text edit things. And I know it's dumb. But just because I'm so gifted in other areas, absolutely does not mean I'm gifted in any of this technology stuff. Okay. So, dolphins. What does smiling gently mean? Trump will be presented with tough choices. having to do with, who to negotiate with. Okay. Off-planet groups are organizing now that the old relationships will not work. Won't work because most of the old group will either be in jail or have one foot in jail. So when I did the map, at the top it says ET's smiling gently on Trump. Right now, I just ask the dolphins the way I do when I don't go to the aquarium, and I haven't gone to the aquarium in years. I ask the question and I get the answer in my head, and then I type it. I could also tape record it. So I asked the dolphins, what does smiling gently mean? Trump will be presented with tough choices having to do with who to negotiate with. Off-planet groups are organizing now that the old relationships won't work because most of the old group from planet Earth will either be in jail or have one foot in jail. That makes sense having to do with what it is I know, and I know a lot about this from years ago, but I know a lot about this. So what does gently mean? Because I didn't get that. Uh, it- okay, this is the last I'm going to do. And I put, what does gently mean? I'm asking the dolphins. The answer is it will be tough to choose who to negotiate with, as non-traditional will be best, but traditional relationships will look more appealing. Okay. Okay. Doesn't have much meaning for me right now, but we got an answer. Okay, so here we are. The United States is doing very well, very stable. Trump has done everything he said he was going to do, and he's done more. Elon Musk has left the room, but not really. He showed up for dinner in the Mideast. I love that. I think it's so great. Um, I'm actually waiting for Elon Musk to get back to his stuff because I think he still has a lot of his attention is on what's happening having to do with money in the United States and Congress, and I think that's deviating a lot of his creativity. And like children, you teach them all you can, and you're going to be there supervising their whole life. You're going to be looking and watching and there, but you got to let them go. And I think that basically is what Elon is doing. And if he's not doing, that's what he needs to do, Elon, because we got to get back to work. It's a very interesting time. We got to get this whole thing with the sex figured out, having to do with population collapse. First on the agenda, and then the whole ET thing. Where do you start with that? Nora's asking, when are we going to start working on Venezuela again? Maybe tonight, Nora. There's good stuff moving along in Venezuela. It's very good. Anyway, I'm ending here. And I want to get back to this sketch of Schiff. And I want to say that these people, that he has those mind stream, his mind streams are controlling them, even though they may have not have spoken for 10 years, whatever, but these are Congress people. I think I said that one. But they may just exchange a smile. I mean, it may have been a meal they shared together and something was in that meal. These are his mind streams controlling them. And maybe it's why there are people there in the Congress that are looking like dumb as a rock. But I cannot be critical because I was controlled by that. I'm not sure that my control from years ago, the one that I would most kind of the word is not the correct word, but I'm going to use it, most identify with. I'm not sure that that was. I don't really know. I don't know enough about it, but I think I need to know a lot more about this, because if the really, really bad guys know how to take their mind strings, and we all have 72,000 extending from our center axis, we need to know more about it. And if we can control people through that, like this woman that I sketched decades ago, she was sick because her mind streams, well, I don't know if it was her mind streams inserted into the guys in jail or their mind streams inserted into her, or both, had her sick. Okay, the last subject. We have a problem. The ETs want to take us down very quickly. They want to take us down. And they've tried many different ways. And one of the latest, and the one that is the most aggressive right now, is they're inserting air into our heart. So I looked it up, and there's something called air embolisms. And now I was trying to, but I didn't have the time to look up the homeopathic remedy that could take care of that. What I am doing on my part is I am on Mondays at 8, and you're welcome to join, because even if you don't know English, I am going to do a purification. I'm going to be doing the work, and I'm going to be going into the heart chakra. And what I do is I just, like with a needle, I pop these bubbles of air that I've been finding inside the heart. Every time I go back, there's new ones, and there's more. And that's why I looked up air in the heart. What could that cause? Air embolism. So I would think there has to be an incredibly dramatic increase in air embolisms. How do they tell the difference between an air embolism and a blood clot embolism? I have no idea. Somebody else needs to figure that out. But I'm going to find the homeopathic remedy for that, and recommend it. And you're welcome to come on Monday at 8, and it'll be on all my platforms. And I decided to do a second event that I would normally charge for, because I was charging for the one for the heart. I'm not going to be charging for it. Everybody needs to get this looked at, and it's the only way I can get to everybody, unless somebody gives me a national TV show. And at that time, I'm still not going to be able to get to everybody. So what I'm doing is what I need to be doing. The second purification event I'm going to be giving, that you're welcome to join, I don't have a date yet, is the one for the liver. Why? Because the liver has one of those cords, one of those mind streams, but it comes from Orion and inserts inserts with the back of it, inserts into the back of the liver. Oh darn, this is a lot more important than, sometimes I do so many different things that I have a hard time getting a bigger picture. And that's why there have to be other people out there like you guys that can say stuff and ask a question. I go, oh, you're right. So these mind streams are a lot more important than we're thinking, because we found and have been working for 2 years with when Christ was on the cross, that lance pierced his liver, and everything about him on the cross is a message. So I looked at it, and what I found is these are mind strings. That's from string theory. I invented the word mind strings because your mind is channeled through that. What I found is that we all have a huge mind string that is inserted in the back of the liver, like the movie Matrix. But instead of here, it's in the back of the liver. And it delivers nectar, a type of mind nectar from Orion, into the back of our liver. And the liver is the one in our body that handles temperature and heat. And it's usually too hot. The energy that's coming from Orion is the energy of the devil. So to insert it some other place wouldn't make as much sense as inserting it in the back of the liver. So the first thing you have to do, and this is the third piece of homework for you, you always have to visualize that there's a block of ice inside your liver, next to the back wall of your liver, because that's where the implant is. If you cool down your liver, you're cooling down the fire element, you're cooling down what is being inserted into you Like that girl that had sex with the guys that are now in jail. It was more than one. So always visualize that you have a piece of ice inside the back of your liver. And then if you ever want to get close to me or work with me, I have to see that you have a piece of ice inside your head so that your head is cooled down. Your brain, your mind, your head. Because it is known in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, shamanism, that a hot head is mental illness. And people today are mentally ill. And I think it's so great that Kennedy is saying exactly what I knew from the 90s. Our children are all sick. No, that's not possible. Just some of them. No. 40, 60% of them are on some kind of medication or are being treated for some kind of psychological issue, mainly depression. And that is classified as sick, mentally ill in this country. And then they have focus issues. They're sick. I knew it in the 90s. I was sick to my stomach. Kennedy said it yesterday in Congress. That man, he deserves such honoring. I swear. Honestly, it is not easy to tell people what he's telling people. The people that you're going to take care of you actually want you sick. I knew that. Could I say it? No, I'm not trying to make myself better than him. What I'm saying is it takes a lot of guts to say it. A lot of people know it, not just me. Okay? But he has it statistically analyzed. He's behind the scenes. I love this man. Okay. So we need to know more about the mind streams having to do with control. So you have three pieces of homework. You watch everybody around you and you see if they seem to be people that are very depressed, if they won't look at you in the eyes and they seem kind of down or they're very different. You do the mantra, even though I want to die, love and accept myself. Don't do even though I'm depressed. That's so nice. You want to quickly take care of it. Even though I want to die, love and accept myself. And that takes away the food for those spirits that would come in and keep hammering at that. The second homework, the piece of ice in your head. And the third homework is the piece of ice in your liver. And there was one more thing you're supposed to be doing. And I forgot what it is. And just tell God that you want to be in contact with the other parts of you. You want to know what's going on with your astral spirit. Okay? I mean, it's not easy. I'm dealing with this guy whose physical body may or may not be underneath a house or building close to me, but his spirit is right here. So it's like, and it's two different sets of skills and tools and attitudes. But the bottom line of why he's still hanging out, he wants to live off my energy. The bottom line of the bad ETs, they want to live off energies of humans. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to say again, we need to figure out the sex thing. Everything. The Diddy trial. Everything is about sex. Now it turns out that the US government is the biggest sex trafficker in history. I could have told you that. And they work together with the Vatican. That's not news. What's news is that people are not interested in something that seems to move countries, the planet, history, which is sex. And they're not interested. Well, you know what? They must be interested. If not, there wouldn't be that much sex trafficking. Got it? There wouldn't be that much pornography. The addiction to pornography. They're blocked. Thank you, God. It's not that they're not interested, they're blocked. And I just remember today I have a friend who asked me once of why he was struggling a little bit in bed. It was not somebody I was having a relationship with. And I was surprised that he would ask me that because most men won't ask that. And when I checked, I said, your back is out of alignment. And he went, oh, okay. I said, go to a chiropractor, but go on a regular basis. Oh, okay. He didn't believe me. A good diagnosis is basically the only way you're going to get any better. Ah. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the mantra. Let's keep pulling up and vacuuming out the energy of even though I want to die. So let's do that for 5 minutes, okay? Okay. And let's do this. The mantra is repeated in silence, and you expel the breath through your mouth, okay? Let's do solar plexus, self-esteem. Okay. It always feels good to do that, doesn't it? When you go places, because a lot of people are really very depressed now, and you do that mantra, it makes a big difference. And if you have any issues having to do with social shame, uncomfortable, not sure if you fit in, whatever, for whatever reason, because you're weird like me, or for whatever reason, when you start to get ready to go to an event or where you're going to have to meet people and just start, do the mantra, even though I'm ashamed, I love and accept myself. It makes such a tremendous difference. I think supposedly because we feel like God threw us out, we all have self-esteem issues because basically everybody has self-esteem issues. So you start incorporating these little mantras and they're in silence. You don't have to tell anybody. It's not a religion. It's basically a science of the mind, which by the way is what Buddhism is. I can't get in contact with my Buddhist friends because they're all up in the mountains doing mantras feverishly. It would be interesting to find out what they're working on, but they don't talk. So we're not going to be able to find that. I just sent them another donation. Not for anything other than to support their work. And I do put in petitions for certain things. I think when they met me initially, they really didn't know what to do with me. Whatever. I knew their stuff, and yet I wasn't like them. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Bye.